character's evolution that you had a hard time accepting?
Oh, that's a good one. Let's start the opposite direction. Let's start with Dean.
Yeah, not being able to walk was kind of a tough one. And having to wear some kind of diaper thing they put me in. Whatever that was, it wasn't pleasant.
Well, what about you, RJ?
I don't know. I've always enjoyed playing Walt Jr. and I've liked every scene for the most part. It's been crazy. There's not really much that I haven't. There's not one thing I haven't liked and enjoyed about it. So.
Well, I have a question then. So, it's for you as RJ versus Walt Jr. When you're watching the show, are you like, how can he not know? Like, is there any point?
Yeah, every once in a while I'm like, yeah, I would have definitely saw that coming. knowing my family as well as I do, if that was happening, I would definitely be like, where is this coming from? But, yeah.
What about you, Bob?
Oh, I think Saul does everything right, and I've never had a problem with a single move he's made. I love it, and what can be said? He's the most perfect character in the show. He has life in balance. He's a master of the show. I haven't had a problem. I think I personally have so much fun playing those violent scenes where I'm being attacked by one of these lunatics, these other characters. But as far as Saul having a hard time with the choices he makes, I think the hardest thing for Saul was when he wanted Jesse to go visit Brock, and there was some emotion in Saul. He was like clearly feeling like he wanted to get this family together. So Saul, like, revealing some personal feeling about humanity is a bit of a challenge for Saul.
I really think he's probably the most grounded character, and I think one of the reasons that I see him that way is that all these other characters, it feels like, are struggling with something that they don't want to admit or they don't want to face about themselves. But Saul's like, yeah, what are you gonna do? I'm a piece of shit, and that's great.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, and he's comfortable with who he is.
That's right. Yeah, and there's people like that. They're scary. Fun to play.
What about you, Anne?
I think at the beginning it was a little hard for me to understand some things about Skylar because she is such a shrouded character in some ways, and at the very beginning it was a little difficult for me to understand sometimes just how strong she was, and Vince helped me understand that she is not a person who is ever going to sit in the corner and wring her hands and weep at any of this news that came her way. So for me, being a more overtly emotional person, I had to work towards who she is, which is a person who really takes the information, processes it, and deals with it, and goes into action rather than into emotion. She goes into forward movement, and so that, and she keeps, even to herself, I think, even in private moments, she doesn't allow herself to break down or to deal with that stuff. And so that was a challenging thing, but not a thing that was something I didn't accept. It just took me a while to understand it. And when I did, then I felt like I started to really fly with her, so.
I just want to ask, the first time you lit up a cigarette in the car, just over the belly, was there any part of you that was like, this is really hard, even though it's pretend?
Yeah, well, there was a day when I had the belly on, and we were shooting outside. I think it was the day when I was posting the pictures when Walt had disappeared, and so I had the belly on, and I actually was smoking out in the strip mall where we were filming, and there were some horrified people looking outside, looking out of a restaurant, like, lady is very pregnant, she's smoking. So they didn't take that very well.
You balanced it out with the martini.
I had the martini balanced on the belly and the smoke, and so.
Fine, it's almost done.
Fine.
What about you, Aaron? What's the stuff that's been done?
I think probably when Jesse shot Gail was really when he obviously turned into a really bad person, because I mean
he killed probably the nicest guy on the show. You know, I mean, Gail was just such a sweet, kind person. And so all of season 3, after the death of Jane, you know, he blamed himself for all of that. So all of season 3, he was trying to convince himself that he was the bad guy. I mean, he kept saying that. Like,
Season 4, yeah.
Oh, well,
Because you killed him at the end of 3.
well, no, I killed Gail in the 3, but after Jane died at the end of season 2,
I'm sorry.
when he gets out of rehab, he's telling Walt that, you know what, he accepts who he is, and who he is the bad guy. And so at the end of season 3, he proves that by pulling the trigger, and it was yeah, it was really rough.
What about you, Brian?
We mentioned the death of Jane, and I think that was a key part of this, is that, you know, whenever anybody says he's going to go from Mr. Chips to Scarface, or he's going to turn from good to bad, it's a very subjective thing. Just like if I said, can you get me a big sandwich? The idea of what is big. So there was a turn here for when the culpability of Walt in Jane's death. And when it first came in, the script had it where she starts choking, and Walt takes her shoulder and pushes her back on her back so that she would choke to death. Directly involved.
So creepy laugh?
That was sweet. Directly involved in this woman's death. And to the credit and to illustrate the support that we received all throughout the series from our network, AMC, and our studio, Sony, they gave notes to Vince that said, hold it, wait. We feel it's too quick, it's too soon for that type of egregious act to happen at that stage. Because it was still second season for him to leap to that point. And Vince rethought about it and came up with a different plan, and we worked out on the day how to do this, and that Walt wouldn't see her fall back onto her back because he's trying to wake up Jesse, and that jostling would make her fall back naturally. And so he's culpable. So the culpable moment for Walt is when he recognizes that this girl could die, and what does he do then? I think it turned out beautifully, and it was a way that type of talk about alchemy, about bringing the studio and a network and the writing minds together to just make some adjustments so that everybody is on the same page as far as the timeline.